Hello and welcome to Fibertown. This is episode 174 and it's the 2nd of December 2016. The year is coming to a close. And let's talk about the comfort along that's going till the end of the year. And enter your items in the Ravelry thread. I showed the handspun that is available for prizes, and I will pull that at the last episode of the year. And it's just perfect for beginning our handspun winter along, which will start on the 21st of this month. So yeah, that's the administrative stuff. And I wanted to say hello quickly to Prairie Firebird, who is Sherry from North Dakota. And she said hello in the Ravelry group in the introductions thread, so I wanted to give Sherry a shout out. She sews, knits, and spins. She gardens and preserves the produce from her garden, and this is cool. For the last 10 years, she's been slowly working toward having an edible landscape around their city property and reducing her carbon footprint. Lovely. And she is working with raw fleece and turning it into clothes. So again, she's doing that with fiber. So very cool, and hi Sherry, it's great to have you here. The second one is Infrig, not sure how you pronounce that, or maybe you don't pronounce it. Katie from Pittsburgh, and Katie is a new friend of mine. We did a swap together. It was just such an uplifting swap. When I got her package, I loved everything about it. And as I said, she's from Pittsburgh, and she says that her crafting is very seasonal, or her hobbies. And so as spring semester comes to an end, she starts itching for some new kind of art medium to explore. And then she does that until Tour de Fleece starts, and then she starts spinning, and while she's keeping the garden going. And then in July and August, she's doing a lot of preserving from her garden, and I can attest to the peach jam she sent me. Delicious. And then by the end of August, she's tired of her entire wardrobe, and she sews something new. And then as the days get shorter, she starts settling into Netflix and knitting. And she's talked about fiber festivals, what she likes to do and watch and grow in her garden, and just really seriously sounds like I'd love to meet up with you in real life, Katie. Very cool stuff you've got going on. All right, so back to my stuff. I want to share the fiber stuff that I've got going on right now. It's going to be a kind of a short episode today, and now I'm thinking to myself, did I say what my name is? I don't recall. Emily, Chain of Fools on Ravelry, Fibertown with an RE on Instagram. So, I just realized I'm wearing my breathing space that I love, but it's backwards. I just realized it's backwards, and I've been doing some sewing, which I will show you later, but I realized I neglected to, I put it on wrong. The right side, I believe, has a smaller yoke, but that's okay. It looks pretty good the other way. I'm not going to be choosy about it. So the very first thing I want to show you is, I think I showed the finished one last week, and thank you guys. If you got in touch with me after my podcast last week that featured my husband and his knitting, thanks so much. Anyway, this is my first Romney mitt with Soulful Stash from Heather. And we did a swap ages ago, feels like ages ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And there's the second one. So just kind of making these up. It's a singles Romney yarn. And I'm knitting this on, are these US 9s? US 8s, 5 millimeters. Just some bamboo DPNs. So I believe this is from Massachusetts. Place-based yarn. Now the second thing is also incredibly place-based, and I'm calling these my magic wool socks. I have something on a spindle in this project bag as well. So I have the first magic wool sock completed. Here it is. Yeah, I do have tiny feet, but it does stretch. I'm in love, you guys. I'm in love. So I talked about this last week too. I think it was almost finished at that point. I knit this in a day. The Wensleydale handspun, these are both handspun yarns. They're both 3 plies, I think. So the black is really a very light black, but it's a true black. Wensleydale has an amazing hand. I would love a sweater out of this. Yes, I would. I don't know if I'd like a sweater out of this one, but I probably would. North Ronaldsay. I know I've talked about North Ronaldsay. It's the ultimate in terroir. And it's from an island in the Orkneys, and I know I've talked about it before, so I won't repeat myself, I hope. But I love it. The Kemp is included. Hopefully there's some sand from the Orkney beach that it came from, because these sheep live on a beach. And I have the second one going. Here it is. I started the second one with a different skein of the North Ronaldsay. I actually combed the North Ronaldsay and then used the combing waste to card and spin a second skein that was definitely a woolen prep and woolen spin. And this is the worsted prep and spin, which was combed, and then it was really more of a semi-worsted because I spun it the way I usually do, which is a supported long draw. So I started knitting the second sock with the woolen prep yarn, and it was an inch difference in circumference. So I don't have a ton of this left, but I do have a mini skein of it in the same preparation. So I'm just hoping that I can at least get, that I can at least get the leg done. And then if necessary, I will open up the mini skein and alternate it with the poofier woolen prep yarn. So that's what I've got going on. And I'm feel less knitting on it with less fever than the first one, but still really would love to wear it like for Christmas. It's my 13th pair of the year, so that's pretty cool. So what else do I have? I have a gift knit. The friend I'm knitting this for knows about it, so she sees it. She occasionally watches the podcast. This is more for my beautiful and brilliant friend, Mary Lee, and she loves rainbows. So this was just kind of in my stash waiting for her to call to it. This is a lollipop yarn, and this is her beefcake base. I don't recall something rainbow, color me something. And can I just say, Lollipop Yarns, she's meticulous. The dye job is meticulous. The winding by hand of this is meticulous. And it's not like a hard as a rock ball of yarn, which you will find out there, even in hand-wound balls. I've watched her in person, Joan, wind balls, and I just can't believe she does them all by hand. She really does just pay attention to every single detail in her process. It's pretty amazing. It takes a special person. So this is the gauntlet so far. You can see I have started the gusset. I'm just making this pattern up and eyeballing it. This yarn blocks beautifully. I did block from here to here on the needles just to see because I was using US 1.5's 2.5 millimeters, and I realized that the yarn is bigger than your typical fingering, and maybe I needed to rip back and use a bigger needle, but I just blocked on the needles and it's fine. It's very stiff fabric until it's blocked, and then it's lovely. And I'm trying to take it off without spilling stitches off the tiny little circular needles I'm using. They're not my favorite, but I started this in a movie theater, so I just thought, okay, that's a good application for these needles. So you don't drop DPNs or have to move the cord on a magic loop. And I find with these needles that once you get a rhythm going, you're very speedy. But you have to sit down and have enough time to get that rhythm. I find that they're not great for just a stitch here, a stitch there. It feels like you don't make progress. but really, really love this. I have a few decreases in the center where the wrist gets small, and I suspect we have the same size forearms and wrists and hands. So that's in my kitchen counter crafter bag, which is a great bag. And I won this at SSK. So yeah, oh, here's the card. It's called the Rainbow Connection. And I got this yarn at Looped Yarn Works. And truly, it's worth every penny that you spend on Lollipop. So what else is being worked upon? I have 2 sweaters. This is in my hand-spun, hand-woven, hand-sewn bag. This is my yogurt sweater. So I was at my knitting at a friend's house the other day, and I bound it off. And I did submerge it again on the needles. And the hand spun really evened out a lot. I don't have enough yarn for the typical length that I do. So, and also I'm finding there's a lot of fabric, extra fabric here. I think I knit too long, knit too deep of an armhole. But I think it's going to be just fine. It's going to be a cropped-ish cardigan, not super cropped, but like top of the hip. So I'm going to steek it. And that will be the front, the lace back. And then you will notice I have no sleeves yet, and I don't have a lot of yarn left. Let me show you. I do have unspun, undyed yogurt. This was a fleece to garment project, or is still. So I have these 2 skeins, or balls left, plus a little swatch. And I knit this on US 7s. These are the numbers from the Flax Cardigan by Tin Can Knits for my gauge and my size. The Smiling Diamonds lace pattern from the Barbara Walker #1. So yeah, hand spun, hand prepped, hand spun, hand dyed by me. So it's got to get cut open. I feel like it'll be very useful. Now I'm thinking that I won't do button bands. I did a purl stitch, and I think that will just make a nice edge when I fold it back after the steek. Sort of like that. So we'll see. The next step is to steek and see how I feel about, I'll probably put some ribbon behind it, see how I feel about the bands. You know, I probably won't do anything to the collar either. It's just a cast on. Maybe I'll crochet a little bit if I have enough yarn. I would love to have longer sleeves though. So if I have, this is what I have left. I could spin and alternate, spin, dye, and then alternate with these and have something that's possibly doable. So we will see. I want to see how it looks like when it's steeked, and we'll go from there. Adventures in fleece to garment. Now my other sweater is the Lovage by Marie Wallin, and I haven't done a ton, I have to say. I did a little bit, and I'm on chart C. I'm going top down. I put in markers for every repeat, and I'm knitting a variety of yarns into this. Very soulful stash in here. I need to put this on a second needle and check the fit, because I think I'm nearing the point where I'm going to separate for the sleeves. So let me take a sip of my smoothie. I apologize for the disgusting look of this. This is my typical green smoothie. I put some blackberries in it today, and it turned to this color. So, oh yes, the Lovage. Yeah, it's nearing the armpits. So, I was in Looped, knitting with some of the regulars a few weeks ago. And one of them had knit, we were talking about color work, and he had knit a pair of beautiful color work socks and was saying that he had taken a workshop with Arnie and Carlos, and who are Norwegian knitwear designers and, of sock yarn Regia fame. And they were saying, oh, how you Americans knit color work is just so strange. Apparently, in a lot of Scandinavia, color work is knit with one hand only, like stranded Fair Isle. The yarns are tensioned in one hand instead of having one yarn in one hand and one in the other. So I was intrigued, and I did a little research, and I had seen some people tensioning both of the yarns on the same fingers, keeping them in the same hand. And I actually did a few rows like that on the sweater, and I kind of liked it. And I need to research more and see more people knitting that way and see if I can make it work for me. I don't know the benefits of it, but it seems like I might have less puckering if I knit that way. Let me know if you knit your color work that way. I'd also considered getting the yarn guides for color work that you wear on your finger. So it's funny watching people knit, isn't it? It's when I was at Rhinebeck, Swensty, Sarah of the Fiber Trek podcast, was sitting next to me at Leaping Llamas, and she was knitting. And I looked down and I said, it just dawned on me that I don't think I'd ever seen her knit. And it's a very intimate thing to watch someone knit, isn't it? Somebody from Las Vegas is calling me. I don't know anyone in Las Vegas. Anyway, I was thinking how funny just to watch people knit and see how they knit, and it's just a very individual and intimate thing, isn't it? In a non-creepy way. But anyway, I need to see more videos of people knitting color work that way and see if I can make it work for me. Have I showed you everything I'm knitting? Yes. I have a few spinning works. I've got a Russian spindle going with a hobbledehoy batling, and this is Merlin's Beard. I have 4 ounces of Merlin's Beard batlings, and here's another one. This one is on my new drop spindle, my new Golding, and I feel like it just matches very nicely. So these are just my kitchen counter spins. And then, oh yes, I have been spinning Rambouillet, and I have another 2 or 3 ounces of singles ready to go. But this is coming along. This is Rambouillet from Rockland's farm. You'll see them as reflections at Rockland's in a lot of fiber fairs. They have amazing fine wools and border luster. So Cormo, Rambouillet, border luster, I think those are the wools that she raises. Regularly wins best in show for fleeces. So this is my newest skein. This is a 3-ply fingering. This is 240 yards. Ooh, that one's falling apart. That's prettier. These are previous spins of the same pound of Rambouillet, and this is about almost 1,100 yards total. And I still have 5 more ounces to go. It spins pretty fast. I shouldn't complain. I mean, should I complain? Look at this stuff. No, I should not. It's gorgeous. That's it for spinning, though. I'm expecting some things in the mail. My latest Highland Handmaids, or my last Fiber Club of the year. And part of me really wants to resubscribe. It's just been gorgeous, and it's been so nice to look forward to. And I do really recommend her clubs. They are not break the bank kind of clubs. Her fiber is affordably priced, and it's great stuff. So the last one for now is coming, and I'm a little sad. I don't know. I think in the future I will do it again. I will resubscribe, but I don't know that I will in 2017. Yeah, so yes, very short podcast. I just want to show you my sewing project that I've been working on, and it is my Anna dress out of wool. Got this really high quality wool fabric in Charlottesville. It was 50% off. I think I paid $20. Did I pay 20 or? It was probably like $40 a yard fabric, and it was half off. I think it might have even been more than half off. Anyway, I have a bodice the sleeves are not hemmed, but I have a lined bodice. That's the lining. This is Bemberg rayon, which is recommended for linings. And I was considering just getting like the satiny linings that you can get at Joann's, but I've sewn with them before, even with a microfiber needle that's very fine. And I found them incredibly fiddly, and like they would pucker into the base of the feed dogs where a lot of the mechanisms are, and then you'd have to futz with it and pull it out. And anyway, this was super easy to sew with. I didn't even use a different needle. And I have successfully lined a bodice. So there we go. There are the bust darts. I made 3/4 sleeves, and the first time I tried it on with the lining was too tight in part of the sleeves. And there's a significant seam allowance, I guess it's not that significant, it's standard, it's 5/8, but I unpicked both of the seams of the lining from here to the top of the sleeve and re-sewed them with a much smaller seam allowance, and they seem better. So yeah, that's my Anna dress bodice. I know. So what's going to happen next is I have this skirt put together, the shell, the outer part, but I need to sew the lining of the skirt. So what happens is that, I think what happens next is, I'll attach the lining to the lining of the bodice, and that will float freely in the skirt, and the whole dress, I believe, the lining will. And then I will attach the skirt to the bodice. These are the insides of the bust darts. So I'm very excited to be wearing this with some tall brown boots and some tights. It should be lovely. I do have to put the zipper in, and I've done a couple of invisible zippers. They get better every time. That's what I will say for my zipper sewing. I have yet to sew a perfect one. And this will be the first one that I have done in a lining, so wish me luck. So I will see you all next week, and until then, take care. Bye-bye.